Hey world, this is your girl Dr. MV, and you are listening to Singles Get Real with Dr. MV, which is hosted by WGSN-DB online radio show, Going Solo After Dark People. This is an online podcast, an online platform for singles where we have real talk, real questions are submitted to the show, and some real honest feedback is provided to all of our listeners. This is a show where a group of community of singles walking from different walks of life, coming from different walks of life people, where we come together and we try to learn from each other's experiences. This is not about me being the right person to answer all your questions, because I will have guests on the show. There's some other experiences out here, people, for men, women, different walks of life. They're bringing their experiences to the table. And so we want to talk about how do you lead a successful single life, right? And still maintain your joy. You still maintain your happiness. You still maintain your self-worth. You are not diminishing in the process. You're not growing weary in the process, but you are getting stronger in the process. You're more clear about what you want, right? And you are not settling. So yes, this is that platform. This is that show. You just tuned in, and hopefully the end outcome of every show on every Thursday at 8 p.m., wherever you are on this planet, when you click play on this show, you would hopefully end feeling inspired. You would hopefully end the feeling like you know who you are, and there is hope, people. There is some hope, people, out there. So I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Vaughn. Much of me you can find on my website at www.drmv.net. And so tonight we're going to be talking about a particular topic that I want to discuss. I thought it would be good for our listeners to just kick this thing off, and let's just listen. We're not going to tiptoe around the tubes on the topic of being single, okay? Because people want to know some answers. People are online. They're trying to find dates, people. They're trying to hook up. They're trying to link up. They're trying to find their soulmate. They're mismatching and just doing all this stuff, right? So we want to talk about, or I want to talk about, I should say, and I do have some questions from a listener that he emailed me some questions. It is a male listener. I don't put my listeners' names out there because I like to be private and confidential, but I will be addressing some of those questions tonight. But tonight's topic is called, You Can't Date Past Your Pain. Ooh! You cannot date past your pain. And some of you may listen to me and say, well, Dr. MV, who are you and how are you an expert in this area? Listen, let me tell you something. I have been a divorced single for 15 years now. I've been a single mother for 15 years as well. I published 2 books. My most recent published book is called Bride. It stands for Becoming Royal in Daddy's Eyes. This book is mainly targeting Christian singles. It's not for everybody. It's for those who are trying to date in a different way. And what I mean by a different way is I'm talking to singles who are trying to find their husband or their wives, and in the courtship or in the dating process, they have really chosen not to have sex. Yeah, they chosen not to have sex because they're deciding that mainstream popular opinion regarding sex is not working for them. And so I am talking to that particular group. I'm talking to that particular group that says, you know what? I want to get married one day. I want a husband. I want a wife. But I don't want to give up my body in a process of trying to say I do. So if you want to purchase my book, please go on my website at drmv.net. Click on the store and you will see Bride, and you'll purchase the book. I'll sign it and get that out to you right away. It's also available at amazon.com, where you can also purchase the book as well. But tonight, let's get into the topic, okay? You cannot date past your pain. And what do I mean by that? I am literally challenging adults. I don't care how old you are, okay? If you're an adult and you have a desire, you're single, meaning you're not married. I mean, I don't count being with someone for 5 years and you're engaged and listen, if you are not married and you still file single on your taxes, you're single. I'm talking to you. Okay. And you have a desire to get married. Okay. You can't date past your pain. What I am trying to suggest in this particular topic tonight is that many of us adults, we've all been hurt. Somewhere down the road in our childhood, somebody has hurt us, whether it's been intentional or not intentional. We've all been hurt somewhere, right? And what I'm saying is this. As an adult, okay, and I don't look at it as an adult in terms of just your chronological age. I'm talking about accountability and responsibility and character development. So as an adult who desires to get married one day to another individual and blend your life and share your life with another person, I think it's only right that as a growing adult, that you intentionally step back in your single self with nobody else in your space in life for a season, and you assess all of the pain that was afflicted upon you from your early childhood through your adolescent years, even in your early adult years. And then you need to begin to dig. You got to dig into the pain of what was inflicted in your spirit and in your soul. Why? Because those things have shaped your thinking and how you view men or how you view women. And so oftentimes when you gloss over the pain, when you don't deal with the pain, you still lend yourself out physically to other people. You're going on movie dates, you meeting and greeting, you're doing blind dates, right? You act like you're ready. You're presenting yourself like you're the full package, but it's a false representation because you have not dealt with your pain. So the individuals that are coming across you face to face and they're on these different dates, etc., they can't go to the next level with you, to that next level in the courtship, because you have been wounded and you can't date past that wound. So what that means is that in the dating process, you probably maybe 4 weeks in, you seeing this person for 4 weeks. Now you start to accuse him or her of certain things that they have not done because of the person who hurt you before. Because you never dealt with that pain that other person before this new person had inflicted upon you. So being an adult, you are not really being an adult because you're not dealing with your pain. And you're only making yourself physically available to this new individual, but your heart is not connected on the date, or your heart is not connected in the courtship. And so you find yourself lonely, but not alone. See, because to be alone, that means that you're physically alone. You're physically by yourself. But to be lonely, that means to go into your emotions. You're sad on the inside. You're bruised on the inside. And you gloss it up. So see, ladies, we have makeup to cover up all of our blemishes. We have concealer. We have makeup. We have powder. I mean, we come out looking fab, baby. We just do. But what about the makeup on the inside? We can't make that up. Eventually, if we don't begin to deal with our inflictions and our pains on the inside, that stuff begin to bleed out in the relationship. And so now all of a sudden, the person that you once had googly eyes for is now become an enemy in the relationship, and you're targeting them, and they haven't even done anything in the relationship that's offensive to you because you haven't dealt with that pain. So what I'm saying is, look in the mirror of reflection. We have mirrors in our homes, and every day when we get up, hopefully we all look in the mirror before we step out the house. Why? Because we want to make sure that everything is okay. We know that in the natural, to look in the mirror at our face and the mirror reflects what we see, we need to begin to look in the mirror of our soul. And both men and women, we need to do a deep assessment in our souls. Many men grew up without their fathers. They never had that blueprint. And so they really don't know the kind of man to be. They don't know they never seen positive marriages. They don't know what a husband is. So all of that is foreign to them. But yet and still they desire these things, but they don't know how to attain it. And so when they get with a woman who desires for the man to be her husband, he desires that, but he doesn't know how to be it. So he resists it because he's afraid that he will fail at something he never saw growing up. You understand what I'm saying? And so ladies, we kind of do the same thing. We never seen our mothers be positive wives, or some of us have never seen positive relationships, or we have grew up in abusive home settings, and we interpret that, or we adopt that as that's love. Really, that's not love, but that's all we've ever experienced. And so because that's all we've ever experienced, we become an expert at being abused and calling it love. And all I'm saying, men and women, my singles, my single community, we have to deal with our pain if we're going to begin to assess the fact that we want to get married one day. And I'm saying this is a very painful season I'm talking about. I've done it myself. Listen, I was in a relationship, my last relationship that I was in that caused a lot of internal pain for me. I was hurt, was in 2012. In 2012, for 4 years, it's 2016 right now, people, I intentionally did not make myself available to date anybody. Why? Because I needed to deal with Michelle. I needed to deal with Dr. MV. Dr. MV needed to heal on the inside because I knew that I was damaged. And I knew that my damaged self on the inside, no matter how good I look on the outside, was not going to do any man any good if I were to lend myself to the dating world. Because many of us, we lend ourselves and we market and package ourselves like we're the full package. But as you begin to unwrap us, you'll see all sorts of damages on the inside. And all I'm saying, people, in my dating community here on Singles Get Real with Dr. MV tonight, listen. You got to deal with your pain. Men and women, we have to deal with our pain. Listen, there is greater for us. There is someone out there who fits us like a glove, but we will never know if we don't stop, pause for a season in our life, and deal with the real issues, people. I am trying to help you understand it is possible to be healed. It's possible to be whole by yourself. You don't have to look for a better half when you're whole by yourself. When you're a whole by yourself, you're not worried about what the other person's doing. You are not insecure. You're not jealous. You're not looking for things that are wrong because you have taken the time to discover who you are. You know your purpose. You know your self-worth. You understand where your vision is for your life. And so therefore now you can select with a clear mind and a pure heart. But when you don't do that, it's like going through the garbage and the rubble trying to find gold. Listen, you can't allow your body to be available, engage in sexual relationships. It's like a buffet. You're in all these relationships and expect a person to treat you like a full-course meal when you've been eating from. Wow. Listen, I'm your girl, Dr. MV. You listen to Singles Get Real with Dr. MV. We're about to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to answer some questions for you that I have from a male listener. We're going to try to see what we can come up with. Your girl, Dr. MV, people, stay tuned.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Thank you for tuning back in, my people. You are listening to Singles Get Real with Dr. MV. And this is the second half of the show. And today's topic is you can't date past your pain, people. So I have some questions. Okay? And this is from a male listener. He emailed me questions. And real quickly, if you want to email me your questions before every Thursday show, please send your questions to drmvspeak@gmail.com. One more time, drmvspeak@gmail.com. Okay, so question number one, and I mean, when he asked me questions, he really came for some questions. Okay, his first question is, why do women say they want a good man, but go for the drug dealer or the abusive person? Oh, nice. That's a good question. So going back to what I was saying in the beginning, you can't date past your pain. And I can't speak for all women, although I will say this. When a person has not dealt with their pain, that's all they've ever been exposed to, and they have selected not to stop and pause a moment and deal with their pain, then they have very few selections in terms of what they see themselves valued as. You know what I mean? So if a young lady has been abused in relationships, that's all she's ever experienced, right? Then that's what she has adopted as love for her. Anything opposing to that, she may say things like, oh, this guy is weak, or he's too nice. I'm not used to that, being treated like he's, a gentleman. Things that are foreign to her, which is how she should be treated, like a lady. But to her, because she's been abused, that's what she's adopted as love. And so it skewed her vision. And so she can't really see clearly in terms of her real self-worth, because the men that have been in her life has always dummied her down by verbal abuse or physical abuse to put her in their control, because they don't know who they are. I personally believe, as a woman, anytime a man physically harm a woman or verbally harm a woman, hurt people, he's bleeding on the inside, and no one has taken the time to stop and wonder where his abuse has come from. So he's just repeating a cycle of what's going on in his world and in his life. So oftentimes women may desire, every woman that wants to be treated like a queen, but because of our experiences and how we all handle our experiences differently, our outcomes of who we walk down that aisle with or never walk down an aisle, or who we shack up with or who we end up with, it's because of our experiences. And a shoe can go on the other foot. There are men who only date a certain type of woman. They're not used to women who know their self-worth, women who are classy, women who are not going to exchange foul language with you. And so therefore to that man, that's not the kind of woman he's accustomed to. So therefore he walks away. Right? So that's my answer regarding that. And if you have any feedback regarding my answer, you want to add to it, send your feedback to my email, drmvspeak@gmail.com. Question number 2, this man sends me. He says, why do I have to wait 3 months when you want it like I do? My goodness, I'm assuming that he's talking about sex. So he says, why do I have to wait 3 months when you want it like I do? Listen, to each his own, right? We can't assume because we're in a dating or a courtship that just because you want sex, I want sex. Listen, sex was created by God, and it was created to be good and enjoyable, but it was created for the confinement of marriage. Yes, I said it. I'm opposing popular opinion in the media world that it's okay to have sex before marriage. I'm adopting the mindset that God says it's better to wait to get married and then have sex, so you won't have to worry about the small blueprint like you do in medicine bottles. They give you that small outline. When you take this medication, this is what could happen. This is what can happen when you have sex before you get married. And I'm not saying that there's nothing bad that can happen when you get married and have sex. I'm just saying when you have sex before marriage, it clouds your vision, it clouds your judgment in the courtship, in the relationship with that individual. Now, your soul is connected. Your souls are binding together. You're wondering why you're always thinking about this person. You're making excuses for this person because you cannot see clearly any longer because you've done the most in the dating. You've done the most. You lended your whole body to this individual. And so it's more than just a physical act. It's a soul intertwining with one another. And many of us has intertwined our souls with so many people. Our judgment is so clouded. We cannot see the right person if there was right before us. So in terms of waiting, yes, we women, we desire to have sex as well, but not as much as men do. But we can hold back. That's just how we are. We're more emotional. We're communicators. And just because a woman chooses not to have sex with you because you want it so bad, that doesn't make her any less value than you are. It's not a race to the sex bed. You're trying to court her. Hopefully, you're trying to get to know who she is, not in between her legs, but in between her two temples, her mind, her heart. Who is this woman? Does she make a right fit for you? If you just want a sex partner, then you shouldn't be dating. You should just do that. You know, if you want to date for something greater to hopefully that leads to marriage, then sex should not even be in the radar for the period. It should just be all about that individual. And can you really see yourself spending the rest of your entire life blending your life with this human being? You know what I mean? So yes, self-discipline, practicing discipline is a great thing to do. There are certain habits, people, that we definitely have to learn how to break. Oftentimes we try to get away with some of our traits, some of our character traits that are not really complementary to who we can be. And we say, you know what? That's just a habit. I've been doing this for years. It's just a habit. Well, some things you have to unlearn how to do if you're going to deal with the pain that I've been talking about in this podcast of dealing with your pain before you date. You know what I mean? So you can present yourself as an authentic, real, potential marital package versus someone who is bleeding on the inside and only available physically. It's just not cool at all. I applaud the woman who's practicing self-discipline. And listen, if the relationship, and be honest, I would say to this gentleman, if sex is something that is important to you in a relationship, as an adult, as a man, you need to sit with that woman and you need to let her know that sex is important to you in a relationship before you get married. And you need to give her that option to walk away or to stay with you. And if you don't give her that option, you're just going to internally grow frustrated and you're really posing versus being an authentic man in that situation. That's just my opinion. You asked me, so I'm giving you my answer. So let's keep flowing, people. Let's go. Here's another question I got. Is it wrong for me to lie to get what I want? Absolutely. Who wants to be with a liar? Listen, if there's one thing that I despise as a lie, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Give me the option to deal with your truth. You know what I mean? It matters not if whatever it is that you've done, give me an option to deal with your truth. You don't want to be with someone who's pretending to have one face, but then when they're not in front of you, they're this totally different person. Don't lie. Why would you have to lie and be a thief to get something? Why are you presenting yourself as available when really you are a taker? Right? So yes, that's just a flat out yes. It is wrong for you to sit up here and lie and pose as if you're somebody when you're really not, just to get something, because that's being selfish. You're not to love people. You have to be selfless. It's less of you, more of that person. And you're being selfish. It's all about you. It's all about your self-gratification, what makes you happy. You. Why put yourself on a market where other people's feelings are involved when only thing you care about is yourself? So I say, yes, it is wrong for you to lie to get what you want. If you're going to be a real person, an authentic person, and you're going to be a real adult, and you're going to be real grown about the situation out here in the dating world where there's so many diseases going on, there's so many broken hearts. Because listen, ladies, you can put a condom on, but you can't put a condom on your heart. Listen, you can protect yourself from sexually transmitted diseases, but you can't protect yourself from a broken heart. You can't protect yourself from depression. You can't protect yourself from a lack of self-esteem. So listen, keep those legs closed. And fellas, keep that thing in your pants. Yes, I said it. Until you know that this person is walking down that aisle with you to say, I do. All right, moving on, because time is drawing near. Other question. How do I keep my morals when I'm being tempted every day by evil? Wow. Isn't this something the entire world can attest to? No human being is exempt from being tempted by evil. Evil surrounds us daily. It's not the temptation that's going to get you in trouble. It's you actually engaging in it that's going to get you in trouble. So here's what I would lend to you just from my own experience, my life as a single woman. I'm not married yet, so I always coin myself as a single woman until I have a ring on my left hand, on my hand, and I say I do before my pastors and God and a crowd of witnesses. I am a single woman. The thing that I do to keep myself morally intact is I'm a Christian. So I read my Bible every day, and I always talk to God, and I seek God for guidance and for his direction in my life and his advice. And I always try to surround myself, at least, and share my private life with some key people who are going to give me some wisdom, some pearls of wisdom that are going to lead me down the right path. Even sometimes the advice that comes to me, it doesn't make me feel good because it's not comfortable words. It's not words of comfort. It's not what Dr. MB wants to hear. But it's words that's going to lead me down the right path. It's like someone giving you advice to the best route to Florida, and you're taking a trip to Florida and you don't have the right directions. You want someone who's actually been there before to give you the right directions so you can avoid various pitfalls and detours. So I would suggest to you, in order to avoid evil temptation, don't put yourself in positions that's going to bring about that temptation, or that's going to heighten that temptation. So in my book, Bride, Becoming Royal in Daddy's Eyes, I'm actually giving you quick tips in the book. And I'm saying, you know what? When you're dating someone, don't have long conversations in cars. The cars can mess you up, especially at night. That whole radio scene, that radio go from nice music to sexual music real quickly, and next thing you know, those chairs go from all the way up to all the way back, and next thing you know, those windows are foggy, and next thing you know, you want to stay away from cars. You want to not go to other person's apartment or their home without someone being there and being accountable. Why? Because if you make that a routine, now all of a sudden you're making your relationship and the other person, it's a routine. So now you're becoming comfortable. And listen, we got to keep it real. When you're dating, you're physically attracted to that person. You're kissing and you're hugging and your flesh is rousing up, right? So if you're trying to avoid sexual relationships before marriage, you need to not put yourself in that position. Because listen, ladies, men are weaker than us. They are. They can only say no so many times before they want to give in. So I feel like in a dating relationship, me as a woman, I'm going to dress in a manner that's not going to be as luring or as tempting to my man. I don't want him to be more tempted than he already is. So I'm not going to show him all of my private areas. I'm going to reserve that, right? And I would hope he would do the same. I just think that you need to protect your relationship as much as you can from doing things that you're trying to avoid for the overall good. Because, man, you have self-worth as well. And it's important that you recognize outside of what mainstream society says is cool, you can bed down as many women as you want and you're still cool. That's not cool. Because you're diminishing in your worth. You are going to be great husbands one day and great fathers. You are kings and you need to fall in your rightful position. But you can't fall in your rightful position trying to seek validation from the streets or trying to seek validation elsewhere. So what I'm suggesting, men who are single, that you need to do an assessment as well, okay, and understand your value and your worth that you're bringing to the relationship. Listen, people, this is a platform for singles who are trying to do things a little bit differently. We're not trying to have sex before marriage, but we're trying to turn this thing around and attain something greater and better for our lives. Listen, people, I am your online podcast radio host. My name is Dr. MV. You have just listened to the first broadcast radio show, Singles Get Real with Dr. MV, and our title today was You Can't Date Past Your Pain. Please go to my website, www.drmb.net. Please continue to log in every Thursday at 8 p.m. And this is where we're going to talk about singles and how we live a life that's contrary to mainstream media's opinion. And you can submit your questions to drmbspeak@gmail.com. And this show is hosted by the one and only WGSN-DB, going solo after dark, people. So stay tuned. Next week, we'll have hopefully a guest. We'll be able to keep it real. God bless you. Peace.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.